Okay,
So,
let's
hi
go.
everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm so pleased you're here. So, you're listening to the Digital Culture Ideas podcast and YouTube show where we geek out about how technology is shaking up the way we think, communicate, and engage with the world around us. And today's guest is Matt Bird. And let me tell you, he's got one of the coolest stories. By day, he's my Microsoft colleague in a similar role to me, so technology strategist. So we act as like CTOs on behalf of our customer on the Microsoft stack, of course. But by night, he's a pioneer in Bitcoin ordinal art. So, what's that, you say? Well, we're going to get into it. And we're also going to dig into his journey from tech into this really fascinating world of Bitcoin art. And trust me, you don't want to miss this. Okay, so we're covering everything from Bitcoin, how Matt brings the worlds together of technology and creativity in ways you wouldn't believe. And he's going to show you some of the ways that he does that. So grab your coffee or your tea or your hot chocolate, no judgment here, and let's jump into it. So, hi, Matt, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Hills. Cool to be here.
It's great to have you on. Look, I think with that intro I just gave you, some people be going kind of Bitcoin art. What is that? But maybe we need to kind of go back a few steps and start with Bitcoin itself, because it's a term people probably know, but they probably don't understand exactly what it is. So maybe it might be helpful if you just give us, a bit of a view on what you perceive Bitcoin to be. What are your beliefs in the Bitcoin space, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, thanks. Um, yeah, I guess it's always a difficult kind of kind of water cooler conversation around Bitcoin. People have a bunch of either know or preconceived conceptions. What I find useful in explaining it is kind of like explaining my why for Bitcoin, and it's kind of like my kind of core beliefs around why Bitcoin is the ultimate savings technology. So it's kind of go through a few points in that space. So a few kind of really kind of simple statements like time itself is infinite, but my time is finite. So
Mm,
so I don't have an infinite amount of time. None of us do. And that finite nature of time for the individual, I think, is really important to recognize. Um, the other thing is around how do you separate the terms money and currency? Because money is a concept. It was invented to solve the considerants of wants around here. I have 10 fish. You have a bucket of corn. At times I won't have fish, or you won't have corn, but we need a third thing to bring those coincidence of wants together. And money fills that thing we can both use. That's that's
sure.
that's why money is important. Um, Currency is just a technological and regional implementation of money. So, be it shells or beads or stones or metal coins or promissory notes, these are all different technologies which are the currency that represents money for a particular culture at a particular time. So, yeah, and we see it these days. Our local currency, the New Zealand dollar, is is a different currency to the US dollar, but they're both money, but they're a technical implementation of money. So kind of a currency as a technology, I guess, is the
Mm,
point, and is separate to money. And we all know where and how fast technology is moving, and we've already seen, as I explained, all the different types of currencies in the past, how it's moved through different technologies over
you're right.
time.
It hasn't stayed the same over time.
No, no, it doesn't. Um, so the other thing which is kind of which I find super interesting is that the natural state of the free market is deflation. Kind of a complicated term. Um, what it means is your money should buy more over time as the marginal cost of a good trends to a zero. Everything gets cheaper over time. Yeah, and our amazing brains create better, more and more economical ways to make all the bits of the things we buy. So the natural state of a free market is deflation. So things should always cost less. but we don't really see that,
That's
right?
not the case, no.
That's not the case. Like it's weird how we can hold that we know that the cost of a single unit, the marginal cost of an item, will always get cheaper over time as we provide better tech, drive more competition, do things differently, and drive the cost down. But everything costs more over time. Not everything, but a lot of things cost more over time. And so that kind of gets towards, what's the problem? What is the central bank and this debt-based monetary system we're on, and how does that devalue our money over time? So things that are getting cheaper don't appear cheaper to us. So I know, I think I'm older than you, but I remember when I was a kid, my parents and at school, you get kind of drilled into you that you should save your money. You should put it in the bank, and the power of compound interest, this magic thing, compound interest, would see you right. So that's how I grew up. Like, save money, work hard, save money. It'll see you right.
Yeah,
In
I certainly had
reality,
that drummed into me as well, for sure.
yeah, like it was how it was, right? But now it appears that in order to get ahead, you need to find assets that keep up with this thing called inflation.
Yeah.
Right. So that means I've got to borrow money, go into debt to buy an asset, a house that keeps up.
Yep.
Well, that goes that beats inflation. So all of a sudden you can see where there's a great divide between the haves and have-nots around who's able to borrow money in order to buy assets that don't lose value over time. Or the other thing is I can enter the share market. I can become a professional stock picker, and hopefully magically hit it like lucky with the next Nvidia, and effectively gamble my money. So either I have to go into debt or gamble my money in order to keep up with inflation.
I've been thinking about that a lot, particularly around property and houses. Like you say, you borrow money, you buy a property, the property goes up in value apparently, but actually the property itself, say it's a house, after a certain period of years, is more in a worse state.
Yeah.
Like it's been used, it's older, things need replacing.
Yep.
So I've often thought, does it really go up in value, or is it catching inflation or not?
Yeah. It's and you describe that as the carry cost, right? The cost of holding the asset is a carry cost.
You're right. You've got to borrow money to buy the asset, and then you've also got to put money into the asset to keep it at a certain condition, or try to. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Maintenance costs.
Yeah. So it's kind of, and this is weird in a world where the natural state of the free market is deflation, but we have to borrow money or take risk or steal in order to get ahead, right? So if we go back to that first thing I said around time is infinite, but my time is finite. What we do when we I'll explain this. What we do when we work is we exchange our time and our energy for money.
Yes.
So it's kind of like, money is our time and energy in an abstracted form. And so it's just kind of like, that it's quite an interesting phrase. So whenever a debt-based monetary system creates more money, there's more money in the system. So the money that the time and energy I put into to create the money I created is worth less over time as there's more and more monetary units around.
Yeah.
So
sloshing around. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the effort I put in is devalued. So effectively, inflation is stealing my time and energy over time. So if you go back to that kind of like, my time and energy is finite, and realize I exchange that time and energy for money. That money itself also needs to be finite. It can't be infinite
Mm.
because I'm exchanging my finite resource of my time and energy for an infinite resource of a dollar that has been printed more of. So I just think that exchanging your finite time and energy for an infinite resource is a bad trade. And hence, um, I choose to save my money in Bitcoin, which is a finite resource, not an infinite resource.
How how often does money get printed? Do you have any idea about that?
So money
Is it
gets
like
printed every time. So
is it annual?
every time you take out a loan. So if you go to bank and you borrow $500,000 because of fractional reserve banking, the bank uh, invents $500,000. Like that is what fractional reserve banking is. They don't have a big Scrooge McDuck money vault. They go into and get you $500,000 and then give it to the other person. Um, that is a register. It's a line item. And
Okay.
and that money is great. So at that moment, there's 500,000 more dollars in the world, and the value of all the dollars are diluted by that extra $500,000.
Which is interesting.
Conversely, whenever loans are paid back, the money is destroyed. So money is created and destroyed through
Right.
through
Okay.
through that process. But more money is borrowed in this debt-based monetary system we're in than paid back. And so over time, it's getting larger. And so yeah, that's kind of works. So even though yes, Reserve Bank prints money at times, there's a whole lot of very complicated process around that. Most money, I think, is actually made through lending, and it's just magic up, and that's the power that the banks have, and that's been kind of given to them.
Okay. So talk about Bitcoin being
Yep.
not infinite, it is finite itself.
Yep.
Can you explain that one to the viewers?
Yeah. So there's so Bitcoin is code. It is just open source code. It's a large open ledger of who has what. So people have a Bitcoin address, and that address. I'm simplifying this a lot here. That address has a bunch of Bitcoin or fractions of Bitcoin attached to it. Because I
It's their
guess the important
wallet.
thing to note there is each Bitcoin is actually 100 million satoshis. Similar to a dollar is 100
Makes
cents.
sense.
There's 100
Yeah.
million satoshis per Bitcoin. There's 21 million Bitcoins, and that hard limit of 21 million is written into the code of Bitcoin itself.
So no
And no
more
one,
can be created or ever,
no,
basically.
so no more can be created unless the code is changed. In order for the code to be changed, all the node operators who have Bitcoin would need to agree to devalue Bitcoin, and that is not a feasible thing. Like they're not going to say, "Hey, we're good."
Right.
Excuse me.
Okay. So I think that's given a pretty
Yeah,
good framework around this Bitcoin concept and, some of your beliefs in it. Um, okay, switching gear a little bit. Tell us about your journey into art because you're a technology science guy. How
yeah,
did you get into art and Bitcoin ordinal art in
yeah.
particular?
So yeah, so it's a make a long story short. I've got So I'm a techie, no doubt, no doubt. So understand that. So science guy, tech guy, genetics at uni.
Okay.
I'm a geek, which is great. Um, um, my elder brother and sister are both amazing artists, and in a number of different forms. They're very talented. Drawing, sculpting, painting. So I grew up as a wee nipper with older siblings who were just immensely talented in that space. Um, I'm the one in the family you go to get your router range expand to put in, right? I'm that tech guy for that. So it's always been they've always been coming home with kind of art folders under their arms, and I was in the study trying to code on my Apple IIe back in the late or early 1980s. So yeah, that's kind of how it was. So it's always kind of bugged me. It's always been like a thing that I've always wanted to be able to do. I've always wanted to be creative. I've always wanted to kind of try this art thing out. It's always been really interesting. Um,
Were your parents creative as well?
no, not at all. No,
No, okay.
no, no. I don't know where it came from. It just kind of like, it landed on Chris and Darren, and that was it. Um, So what happened like is in relatively recently, like in the last like kind of 5 or 6 years, is that um literally one day I was writing some Python code, trying to get some widget to do something, um and I looked at the code and went, it's quite cool, kind of like this. I just love how this works, how different kind of functions flow together. There's a real artistry in how this is. I mean, and then I thought, well, of course, coding is an artistic process. Like it's a creative process. You start out with a blank screen in VS Code, and you start creating. Um, and I went, oh, golly, wow. And then so that kind of really hit me. And then I thought, that's cool, but no one besides other coders really see the beauty of code. They don't understand that how the stuff works and how beautiful it is, how creative the process is. If they just see their app working or whatever happening, right?
Yeah.
So I thought, well, how do I go about creating physical art, visual art with code in order to be able to kind of find a way for people that can't code to I guess kind of to enjoy the art of code. And so yeah, so I started creating things. I um started trying different techniques, and there's a whole lot of kind of yeah, many different languages to do code and to create art. And I settled on a couple, and I've been kind of been exploring ever since that process. So I guess kind of long story short, I finally realized that the pencil or paintbrush isn't my medium. Code is my medium. So that is the thing that I create with.
Amazing. So before I get you to show us what this looks like, can I just ask, because obviously, we work at Microsoft together. Um, has kind of Microsoft and AI, has that influenced any of your work, would you say? Or has it been something completely separate? Like, how do you think about your technology job with your technology hobby, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah. So some of the techniques I use are computer vision techniques. So
Okay.
I take and with some of my art, I take actual pictures, actual photos I've taken, and I warp and twist them with computer vision techniques. So computers can see things. We've also always have all seen kind of like your playing identifiers and things that can see the world, and they tell you what's in a picture or what's happening in the picture by identifying objects. Um, what's actually happening there is there's a whole lot of training data that's gone in, a whole process to train the models in order to identify the chair, the table, the plant, the window. Um, and so what I do is I take start to explain. I take real world pictures and I warp them back towards the training data and bring out the beauty of how I think the computer is seeing the picture. So rather than identify objects in the picture, I move the picture towards the training data and the objects.
Fascinating. Okay, you've got to show us. You got
Yeah,
something there you
yeah,
can
yeah. I do.
bring
I do.
up.
Let me just bring some stuff up. So I have a collection of art that I call proof of track. It's called Proof
Who
of
are you in
Track.
the art world? Are you Matt Bird?
No, I'm 21 E6.
21 E6.
21
Okay.
E6. Yeah.
You, you are a geek. I am too,
Yeah.
but I love that. So
Yeah.
tell me about that name, 21 E6.
So I was going before around how much I like Bitcoin.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh,
21.
yeah,
Yeah.
Bitcoin has a hard limit of 21 million, and the
Yes.
scientific way to write 21 million is 21 E6, so 21 followed by six zeros. So it's the scientific
Ah,
notation of 21 million.
cool.
Yeah, and
Makes
that is an
sense.
artist name that I have to explain a lot because everyone's like, what are you, RTD2? What's this strange name you've got? Just because so I my wife, kids and I tramp a lot. We're out there hiking a bit, and we take a lot of photos tramping. And so what I've done, as I was saying before, I warp those photos towards some train data and create kind of interesting effects as a result. Here is one now.
Oh, wow.
So this is if I zoom out a bit, this is actually the shores of Lake Tiana. Um, we've just spent 4 days walking from the other end of, is it the route bend? I get super confused about which tracks go where. But anyway, and I just loved these daisies. And
It feels like
so
there's almost motion,
yeah,
in
it's
the way that you've depicted it.
yeah. Um, Yeah,
Awesome.
it's just yeah. So it's there. So there's a whole bunch of these kind of pictures, all using similar techniques. It's just Lux and Hut. This is actually taken on New Year's morning. So it's the sun on New Year's Day, 2024. That got up early that morning. Um, for Aucklanders, here's the observation post at the top of Motatapu. So this is the old observation post. This is a cute hut that I cycle past, um, cycling in the Alps to Ocean down in the South Island. Yeah, so all these kind of places I go to, I'm constantly looking for pictures I can take that I can do things to, in order to kind of yeah,
So
figure out. Yeah,
maybe you need to explain, like, why is this Bitcoin art?
yeah. So I guess just I'll stop sharing for a sec. Um, so as I've said, yeah, I really like a lot of the philosophy and the why behind Bitcoin.
Yeah.
You can create NFTs, because it's effective what I'm doing
Yeah.
on a variety of different blockchains. Um, Bitcoin is I believe over time going to become the base layer of money. So similar to how gold used to be,
Sure.
before we left the gold standard. Um, I think more than that. I think Bitcoin over time is going to become the base layer of everything. Um, as in, we will tokenize assets and prove ownership with this large open ledger of Bitcoin. Um, Similar to other blockchains, one of the first things that turns up is art seems to turn up early on most blockchains in
Mm.
various forms, and in a similar way back in early 2023, through a bunch of different kind of circumstances around some software upgrades, it was possible to start inscribing chunks of data into a Satoshi, in a Bitcoin. And so you can take a single Satoshi, remembering there's 100 million Satoshis in every Bitcoin, takes
Yeah.
a single Satoshi, and in a certain field in it, you can actually load up to 4 megabytes of data. And so what I do is I inscribe my pictures on Bitcoin. So if I said before, code is my medium. similarly, Bitcoin is a canvas. It's where I put it. It's where I store it. It's what I
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
what I write on or paint on. It's kind of like I think of it like kind of permanent graffiti, because it's
Yeah.
loaded into it's on chain. It's never coming out. Like these pictures you're seeing are on Satoshi's, and they there's no out. It's permanent. Yeah, it's this wonderful kind of permanent open public ledger, um, and that has other features like it's verifiably mine because
Mm.
I can put metadata associated with this. My Twitter handle is in every thing I inscribe. They're all linked through a parent-child relationship to a central another central inscription, which is me as an artist, and you can kind of create like, through that you can create a number of kind of parent-child relationships to create a hierarchy of art. But at the same time, you can still take an individual one and you can give it to somebody else or sell it to someone else, and they then own it. And the ownership is on chain and open and available in public, and you can see who owns what. So it's both always verifiably mine, as in I was always the artist, but other people can own it or sell it on.
And I guess that there's almost like an audit history there as well.
There is every bit of history. Yes.
With this data field, I'm kind of intrigued. I didn't actually know about that. Does that mean that over time that data field will get filled up with art or whatever else people program into, and there'll be a time when you won't be able to inscribe or graffiti Bitcoin anymore? Is
So
that a
so I'm inscribing it into a single Satoshi. Um, so there's 21 million Bitcoins, and each Bitcoin has 100 million Satoshis. So
Oh, okay. Yeah.
that's 21 to the power of 14. Um,
Yeah.
there's there's plenty of stats out there to do other things with. Other ones in time will carry our tokenized stocks and ownership for those, and all these other things that there'll be a time I expect where there'll be a way to tokenize property. So rather than owning a whole property, you'll own a tokenized portion of property recorded on chain. So all these things, so that base settlement layer will be that, and there's plenty of satoshis to inscribe into.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a pretty hard pushback to some of the I guess Bitcoin money maximists around doing other things other than using Bitcoin as money, and they vehemently don't like people putting their art and their JPEGs on Bitcoin. They think they bloat the chain because it creates a greater data load on chain, which is true to a degree, but not actually a huge problem, in my opinion. I can still run a node personally myself. No trouble at all. So the amount of art created over the last couple of years, which is about 50 million pieces, 50 or 60,
Wow.
60 million pieces, hasn't done a whole lot of bloating to Bitcoin in 2 years. So I don't think it's an issue, but there are some Bitcoin money maxis that get pretty worked up about it.
What else have you made? What other styles have you?
Yeah, so the other thing I've did, and I did this really early, is I I've always over the last while I've talked a lot about this thing called Bitcoin. Um, but what occurred to me is I haven't seen anyone try to create a picture of what a Bitcoin could look like, a kind of thematically. What if you imagine Bitcoin, what does it look like? There's a big kind of floating bee in the sky with some lines through it. What is it? And so what I did is I found some clustering algorithms, and I clustered 100 million pixels. Um, uh, and that's why 100 million, obviously, to represent the 100 million satoshis in each Bitcoin. Mostly they they were gold. because it's in my eyes it's representing digital gold as their background color.
Yeah.
And then if you look at the all the other colors of these visualizing Bitcoin set of art, they're all um, they're all flag colors from I think 26 different nations of the world. So to represent how global Bitcoin is, because it's not a currency for just New
No,
Zealand or
has
US or
no,
whatever. It's a
it has no
global.
country. Yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
exactly.
Yep. It's the first global currency, really. Yes. So when I found the RGB colors for various flags, and there's actually sets of countries buried in these in these ordinals. So yeah, so in this ordinal art. So I've taken each of these, and yeah, and I've described each one individually uh, onto a Satoshi, and then what you can see in this portal here is a marketplace that I can sell these pieces if I
And
want.
and,
Yeah.
and what has been the reaction to your art?
Um, I mean,
Because you actually do sell it, like, and display
yeah,
it.
I do. So the reaction's been great. What I realized though that is I think most artists who sell art realize this, that art is kind of maybe like selling art is like 10% making it, 90%
Mm.
plus marketing and getting out there and work in the room. Um, I just want to code stuff and make beautiful objects. So I'm kind of going through that process of how do I actually really get the stuff to market, and do I really want to spend that long on Twitter and Instagram, showing it off. It's a kind of a thing. I've got a real block when it comes to kind of self promotion and you're going out there and marketing my product. So I haven't sold much. You can see here that this collection has 6 owners. I've currently only got 9 items listed, but those six owners are from all over the world. I've talked to pretty much all of them over Twitter and just kind of chatted about things. So I kind of know them all, which is quite cool. There's a guy from the Netherlands who's really interesting. Yeah, it's just a really cool kind of getting to know your
Yeah.
collectors, which that's really quite a cool thing. Yeah. And so I guess
Um,
the other thing is that I would like to plug, if I have a moment, is I'm off to New York at to exhibit in an exhibition with a bunch of other Kiwi and Australian artists. So
amazing.
every year New York has a thing called NFT NYC, which is a
Just a
digital
little
art show.
thing,
Yeah,
like a hugely successful annual conference. Yeah. And New
yeah,
York's not a bad place to go. Yeah.
yeah. And I'm rapidly trying to look up where the exhibition is, because it's slipped my mind at the moment. But yeah, I will might get
But
you to post it on the video afterwards, because I can't quite pull it up right now.
so
But
how did you get to exhibit there? Because that's not,
um so
people off the street, how did that happen?
that happened. So that is all to do with a wonderful woman called Don Baker, and she's a Kiwi artist who is absolutely amazing, and runs a small art community, mostly of traditional artists who have moved into digital art, whereas
Yeah.
I'm kind of I'm the techie that's kind of
Native digital.
come the
Yeah.
other way. And yeah, so she has both she's both a well-connected and unstoppable force to promote New Zealand art globally. She's incredible. Um, yeah, and the group is also Kerry. If you remember Kerry, who takes our portraits at work, Kerry Little.
Oh,
Um,
yes. Yeah.
Yep. When I was last exhibiting over in Miami in December, her art was there, and she was in New York exhibiting last year. Yeah, so it's just you find the right people, and you kind of you network and get in the communities, and then hopefully you find a Don Baker who's just an unstoppable force of New Zealand promotion. Yeah, she's incredible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This isn't the first time you have exhibited, though. Where did you exhibit last year?
So last year was down in Miami, over in Miami. So there's an annual Art Basel Art
Yes.
exhibition. Miami's a massive art hub, and yeah, so we took a bunch of Kiwi artists over, and with the support of some other wonderful people over there, got an exhibition on the go there. So that was a single day exhibition, and amongst a lot of other stuff going on in Miami at the time. Whereas uh, NFT Aotearoa over in New York is a 3-day exhibition. I'm
Awesome.
feeling really bad that I don't have the South how terrible I'm at marketing and this kind of stuff. I don't even have the blurb up for it, but I'll find it.
Yeah. Look, I think your art's incredible, and I think the story of, being a technologist and then coming into art is incredible as well. It's what about the future sort of excites you, either around Bitcoin or around Bitcoin ordinal art?
All of the above, right? So yeah, having spent many years now in the Bitcoin and crypto space, um, the obvious sea change in acceptance is quite an astounding thing. So that's exciting every day for me. Um, it's exciting in various kind of new meetups I'm in with people who are new to Bitcoin and the crypto space and old. That the local meetups are an amazing place to learn and meet cool people. That excites me. Um, the art journey for me is it's exciting because it's just such a broad thing, right? It's like so art can be anything, and anything can be art. And so creating stuff and creating new things, creating new stuff. I'm working on stuff at the moment where I'm working on some code to segment pictures up and apply different techniques to different parts of the pictures, which is quite fun trying to figure out how that works. So it's a coding challenge to get the kind of visual that I have in my head out. That's exciting. It's just all exciting. It's just like I just wish there's more hours between kind of 8 o'clock and midnight every day to work on this stuff.
Yeah, I think we all wish we had more hours, don't we? Hey,
Yeah.
so and then to segue back to something you mentioned at the start with Bitcoin being a savings technology, what does that mean for your art over time?
So what it means for that is anything that's denoted in a currency that isn't being inflated away goes up in value over time. So anything that jumps from the current world to the new world, yeah, is it's kind of like it's art saving as well, right? So you kind of stop thinking about things and how many dollars you sold it for, and think about how many how many satoshis you sold a piece of art for, and then in 10 years time, as dollars are worth less, and Bitcoin's just Bitcoin, um, then the purchasing power is greater, in the traditional money. So it's quite interesting from that perspective as another way to save.
It was NFT NYC.
Yep.
Is that where you're going?
Yep.
I've got it here. I'll pop it up.
Conference on at the same time, which is pretty cool. This is the link to the specific exhibition.
Awesome. Well, wow,
Yeah.
Matt, what a conversation. You've given us so much to think about, and probably quite a very, very new subject for people because it's Bitcoin and art, and I don't think people necessarily think of those two things together. I love how you found this really amazing blend of technology and art. Like it's really inspiring. I've always loved talking to you about, your creative bent outside of work and what you're doing there.
Help with any questions. Really keen to talk art on Bitcoin or Bitcoin anytime with anyone. Yeah, love to talk more.
Awesome. Well, there you go. So if you want to deep dive into what Matt's doing, he is 21E6.
Brilliant.
Definitely one to follow. So thanks so much, Matt. Okay, everyone, that's the end of the show. I hope you've really enjoyed this conversation I've had with Matt Bird around Bitcoin ordinal art. Does blow my mind.
Okay, let's go.
Hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to do the old like and subscribe, and actually leave a review as well, because it's always great to get feedback on what you think of these. It just helps us grow and make sure that we're bringing you, the best awesome stories. So thanks for hanging out with us, everyone. Thanks, Matt, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.